Members will resume. So this session will be from 5:10 to 7:10. All right? So we resume. Ms. Chen Yun Han. Thank you, Chairman. I want to ask the administration this question concerning our infrastructural development. Many people are calling for the importation of labor. Of course, the labor sector opposes the importation of labor. On one occasion, we were having a meeting of the development panel. We were discussing public works projects, and we asked the administration the same question, and the administration was vague and hesitant in its reply. So concerning this particular item, this particular project, is it that you will rely solely on local workers, or are you going to import workers from outside Hong Kong? Yes, I thank Ms. Chen for her question. Our policy is always to give priority to local workers. But then if for certain work types or job types there's a shortage of labor, we will apply for importation of labor to the Labor Advisory Board. So we will follow the established practice. So we'll give priority to local workers. So in other words, you will not import labor unless there are no alternatives. Is that right? Yes, that's right. Thank you. All right, the sixth round. Mr. Lee Chuk Yan. Mr. Lee Chuk Yan is next. The sixth round. Chairman, I asked a question at the last meeting and I haven't got a reply yet. I want to know whether there will be a written reply. So there will be over 600 items, and then 36 hectares will be for public housing development. And I want to know how many public housing blocks will be built. So you are making use of public housing development as a pretext. And I understand that 17 hectares, for the golf course, we're talking about 17 hectares. So that's already half the amount. Yes, please. We have 40 hectares reserved for subsidized housing, and we've reserved 43 hectares for private housing development. So you may think the area is not too big when we compare, when we look at the total area of development. But then we are only here talking about the area for the construction of housing blocks. Emily Lau not here, Leung Kwok Hong not here, Gary Fair not here either. Fernando Zhang. Concerning elderly persons and disabled persons for Fan Lang North and Kwu Tung North, I want to know how many of these two groups will be affected. Can the Development Bureau give us this figure? Yes, we'll try to gather the figures and we'll give the figures to members. But Chairman, I asked this question last week, and the Assistant Director of Social Welfare talked about those corner garden. But I said I wanted to know the total number of elderly citizens and disabled persons who will be affected in the entire development area. Now, Chairman, if you do not know how many elderly citizens in total will be affected, how can the government help them? They will be affected by the development project. They may have to move elsewhere. And if you do not know how many elderly people will be affected, how can you give assistance to them? All right, next, Chairman, but we are asked to approve the project, and you are only telling them to give us the reply as soon as possible. I asked this question last week, but then I can only join you in pressing them for a reply. Last week they promised to give a reply. So when can you give the reply to Mr. Zhang? I think we need some time to put together the figures. Now, of course, we can make use of the statistics provided by the CNS department, but then we need to confirm with the Lands department concerning the verified figures. So I think you can give us the preliminary figures and then you can give us the verified figures. Yes, this can be done, Chairman. Next, we have Mr. Alan Leung. Chairman, I really want to put this on record concerning whether the chairman can draw the line or draw a line. Now, I think the legal advisor needs to deal with this issue. I want to say that the status of the FC chairman is different from the status of the president of the Legislative Council. Article 72 of the Basic Law says that the president shall exercise the power of presiding over meetings. All right, so only one person can exercise this power, and that is the president of the Legislative Council, that is Mr. Chang Yuk-shing. And if the chairman of the FC can also exercise the powers under Article 72 of the Basic Law, I think that will be rather problematic. I don't think you can really draw a line as such. But then, Chairman, if members keep repeating themselves, if members start to ask irrelevant questions, if members start to make irrelevant remarks, then the chairman can exercise his powers to stop such questions or remarks. But then if members are not repeating themselves, if members are not asking irrelevant questions, then I don't think the FC chairman can have the power to draw a line for the asking of questions. And also, for the agenda items of the FC, there's no time limit, there is no deadline. We can go on with the discussion until the discussion comes to an end. All right, so now, but then for the electrical sittings, certain items may no longer be discussed if there is no time left. But then I don't think this happens to FC items. All right, Mr. Leung Yu Chong. Now, the administration told Mr. Lee Cheuk-yam that 40 hectares of land would be for subsidized housing and 43 hectares for private housing. Is that right? Can I confirm that? Mr. Leung, you are correct. 40 hectares for subsidized housing, 43 hectares for private housing development. And how did you come up with the figures 40 and 43? Because I previously heard you talk about a 6:4 ratio and a 7:3 ratio. So why 40 and 43? And then I understand that you have to try to shorten the waiting list. So I want to know how many flats can be produced for subsidized housing and private housing. Yes, Mr. Leung, for 40 hectares, we're talking about high-density subsidized housing development. For the 43 hectares for private housing development, some of the projects are high-density development, some low-density development. And so we can broadly adhere to the 6:4 ratio. Ms. Emily Lau. Now, concerning inadequate train service and the already very crowded trains. Last time we were told that there would be roads, and I understand that there will be external links. But then is there an EIA report? The residents have told me that they haven't heard about such ideas. Yes, Chairman. Last time I said that the EIA report contained also a TIA report, and there will be new roads or new interchanges. Now, for example, Fanning North, there will be a bypass leading to the trunk road. And then the Railway Corporation has got plans to enhance the passenger carrying capacity of the trains to meet the needs of Kwu Tung North and Fanling North. But when will there be an EIA report? Is there an EIA report? Yes, Chairman. In June last year, the EIA report was submitted to the EPD, and in October last year, the Director of EPD approved the EIA report, Mr. Leong Kwok Hong. Now, if you find that members are repeating themselves, then you can stop them. And then concerning drawing a line, but then Chairman, if you ask us whether we've got any further questions, and if nobody raises his or her hand, then that's the time for you to draw the line. And in fact, it's very simple. If nobody challenges you, then you can draw the line. Please do not make this decision yourself to draw the line. And in fact, in the panel, if the chairman decides to draw the line, he can't do so if we raise objections. It's just that we very often do not want to make things difficult for the chairman. Is there a mechanism? Is there a legal basis for you to draw the line? Has Tang Yuk Sing authorized you to draw the line? That's there's no use for you to decide yourself to draw the line. Mr. Wu Chi-wai, last time I asked a question about the district cooling system. Now, in the Kai-Tak case, we see that the cost is high, but the effectiveness is low, and the electricity tariffs are excessive. Earlier on in the education panel, we were told that for a school in the Kai-Tak area, the electricity bill for a standard school would be increased from about $500,000 a year to about $2 million a year. So if you take into account the plant, the machinery, the district cooling system and its operation, then the electricity bill will be 4 times the present amount. And so it's very difficult for you to recover your investment, recover the cost. And the district cooling system involves the laying of many tubes and channels, and you know that the flexibility of development will be affected because of the presence of the district cooling system. So last time I asked you whether you would do away with the district cooling system. Now, is it that the crystal ball before you tells you that the district cooling system for Kwu Tung North and Fanling North will be more cost effective than the district cooling system in Kai-Tak? Chairman, how come I've only got 2 minutes? Because this is your 4th round. Okay, yes, let me give a brief reply, Chairman. This is a study. And the study will tell us whether the district cooling system is cost-effective and technically feasible. And we'll come back to members after we've got the outcome of the study. All right, 1 minute. Mr. Leung Yu Chung. We were told that taking into account the different intensity of development or density of development, the ratio of 6:4 can be met. But then, do you know that under the LTHS, a review is proposed for the living area per person, or the living space per person? Now, if the amount of living space per person is increased, then the plot ratios will also be affected, and as a result, the 6:4 ratio may also be upset. And So we are looking at the population when we talk about 60 to 40, and the LTHS review will not affect this population ratio. But then if the living space per person increases, then there may be fewer units, and as a result we can no longer stick to the 60-40 population ratio. Chairman, it depends on the number of persons living in each flat, and I don't think there will be a significant impact on the number of units and the population. Why? I can't understand. All right, you can ask later. Gary Fan. According to the paper, there are toxic materials in the soil in Kwu Tung North, mainly arsenic. And so concerning soil remediation and soil or ground surveys, how can you make sure that the private developers will do a serious job in these areas? And then it is said that $20 million will be used for ground survey and soil remediation on government land. Can you give us more information? Yes, Chairman. First of all, according to the planning and engineering study, we more or less know where the arsenic is distributed, and we will of course require the owners of the private lots to carry out soil remediation. Mr. Lee Chuk Yan, the 7 franc. In fact, for the golf course, the area is 170 hectares. So we can make use of that site. Why is it that we have to demolish people's houses and force people to move elsewhere? Why is it that we have to keep this golf course? And you need to develop a total of 600 hectares. And how much land we will need to resume? How many hectares? As I understand, some of the land is government land already, but then when you acquire land, when you resume land, you have to provide huge amounts of compensation to the landlords. And then there are developers, major landlords who own a lot of land in the area. Chairman, concerning the 170 hectares, I want to say that the figures I've just mentioned relate to housing development, but we also need roads, schools, shopping malls, and I haven't provided the figures for these. Mr. Leo Kuo Hong, the 7 franc. Now, in fact, we have been discussing the ratio between public housing and private housing. The ratio of 60 to 40 has been achieved because of our efforts. I think you should use 60% of the land for public housing and 40% of the land for private housing. This is 60 to 40. We are talking about developing land which is now people's homes. We are destroying people's homes. So I think you should devote 60% of the land for public housing, and I'm sure with the higher development density, there will be more housing units.
Why don't you use 60% of the land for public housing and 40% for private housing? Why not? I think in the design of public housing, we need bigger size, and the density is higher. There are constraints with regard to public housing development. So in Hong Kong as a whole, public housing density is higher than private housing. I think they have tried their best to answer your questions. We have the next one, Mr. Liang Yu-jung for the 7th round. From the answer I've got, I would say it's a bit worrying. It would be a waste of time to talk about public housing development. What's the assumption? What's the underlying assumption that the change to density will not affect your planning? Because the housing development has adopted a very inhumane living space entitlement requirements. So you are saying that this will not be changed. So you are assuming that the review would be rather fruitless. Secretary, well, we have promised to provide public rental housing units for 60% of the population. So the design will be carried out in this light. If there will be no change to the per capita living space adopted by the housing department, why not? Why not change that in the light of HD's review? Mr. Fong Kim Kay. I think some of the questions have remained outstanding. And in the first stage, 30,000 elderly people will have to be rehoused. They will be living in nearby districts. It said that one of the blocks will be maintained so that they can move back. Can you move this work area a few hundred meters away from what it is proposed now, so that at Dew's Corner Garden the elderly residents will not be affected? And you can cater for their needs very easily. Actually, the design for the station in terms of its location was already fixed when Lok Ma Chau was looked into. So we cannot change it now. Mr. Gary Fang, can you give us a more detailed answer to ensure that on private sites they are going to do a good job in carrying out the detoxification, so that the underground water supply water source will not be polluted? Well, development on private sites can only be carried out after complying or fulfilling certain conditions, and the detoxification of the pollution or the removal of pollutants will be one of those. Are there any way that you can monitor the compliance of such conditions, and you can do something if there's no compliance or a breach of the conditions? Well, the decontamination is to be done to our satisfaction before they can proceed to development. Dr. Fernando Cheung, there's a lot of arsenic in the ground at Dew's Corner Garden. In Hong Kong, the arsenic in the natural setting can be found in Kutong, and in Kutong is found in abundance at Dew's Corner Garden. You are going to demolish some of the elderly homes. Some others will be kept for the time being. When you carry out the advanced works, the ground investigation, drilling, dredging, excavation, you have to disturb the earth, and you may have to do some decontamination of the arsenic content. At the time when some elderly residents are still going to be there, what are the safety precaution measures that you can take? Well, in terms of investigation or ground formation and decontamination work, we'll carry out prevention and precaution measures which has to be approved by the EPD so to ensure the safety and well-being of the residents there. Mr. Lee Chuk-yan, I haven't got an answer regarding the amount of land to be resumed for subsidized housing and public facilities, roads, and so on and so forth. The size of the land is 260 hectares, among that which 144 hectares will be resumed by the government. 144 hectares are in the hands of private owners. Well, you need to resume 144 hectares, but you don't want to do anything about the golf course, which is 170 hectares. Can you give us the cost comparison? How much is it going to cost you by resuming the 144 hectares? I don't have the figures, but you are going to resume the land. How come you don't have any cost figures? They are not being reasonable. It shouldn't be the proceeded with after weighing the pros and cons. I think they have hurt you. Next, Mr. Albert Chan for the sixth round. How much time do I have? 1 minute. Downstairs, we have a group of residents of Northeast Santee who have rushed into the building. They are very happy. They are very unhappy because of the perceived sellout on them. They would not like to have this approved. But I think when it comes to the vote with the support of the royalists, it will be endorsed. And then the powerful people would get much more richer. I want to invoke an article of Rule 939 of our Finance Committee meeting to adjourn the proceeding. We have to deal with this. Please take a look at Rule 39. We need to handle the motion to adjourn. Yes, you have used up your 1 minute. We'll deal with it. I'll invite our clerk to say something in response. Chairman, Mr. Albert Chan has invoked Rule 39 to adjourn the PWSC 2013-14 38. Actually, Mr. Gary Fang moved a similar motion on a previous occasion, and the committee voted on the matter. So the subject matter was already dealt with on a previous occasion. It's not your turn to speak. The clerk has already informed members on the procedural matter on the same subject, irrespective of the background or the additional information or the change to the background. It's the same subject. So the answer is very clear. We have given a clear reply. I hope members understand that we are acting in accordance with the rules. I'm not going to be engaged in a dialogue with you. Let's work in accordance with the Finance Committee procedure and rules. Other members will now be invited to speak. Mr. Frederick Fung. So soon? I want to ask about relocation arrangements. in 2018, 2019, these elderly residents will be moved out and then they will move back in 2023. How about the intervening years? Are they supposed to find their own accommodation and you will give them the rent? Or if they don't have to pay any rent now, they don't have to pay rent during that period? Who can answer this question? Is Mr. Feng talking about Dew's Corner Garden? My understanding that the arrangement for Dew's Corner Garden is like this, but what about the villages? If we are talking about villages, the discussion is ongoing. We haven't got a fixed solution or package. So you haven't promised them to provide rehousing, in situ rehousing, but they haven't come to any decision. Well, they will move back, but what about the 5 years in the interim? Mr. Albert Chan for the 8th round. Let me read out my motion for the record. In view of FCR 1415 number 2, PWSC 2013-14 number 838, Mr. Ng Leung Sing has not been chairing the meeting in a fair manner, and Mr. Ng Leung Sing, as a independent non-executive director of Smart Tone of MTR, and there is a potential conflict of interest between his chairmanship and these roles. So I propose to adjourn the paper on the Northeast NT advanced site formation and engineering infrastructure works at Kudong North New Development Area and Fenner North New Development Area application. This is a bias. Well, I'm not going to argue with you. You're talking about possible or potential problems. I don't think we need to discuss that any further. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong, Mr. Leung Yu Chung, Dr. Fan Chung, and Mr. Gary Fan, and please ask questions which have not been asked and which are relevant to the item. I'm on your side. I'm for you. According to the procedure, you can say that a motion should not be proceeded with because it's been dealt with, but you do have some discretionary power, just like Mr. C.Y. Leung. I have the discretionary power to grant the license to HKTV or not, but I'm not going to tell you why. It's just the same here. If I were you, I would allow the discussion to proceed. Because it's not a big deal if you cannot be the chairman here. Just let another member to chair the meeting instead. We are called the honorable members. We are not just following rules, but the important thing is that justice must be done, and the justice must be done in accordance with the rules and must be seen to be done. You're not just manipulating the rules. Mr. Leung Yu Chung, please don't repeat the same question. Well, not that I want to repeat the question, but I haven't got any answer. Would the Housing Department give me an answer? We are not talking about the size of per capita living space. And then the officer said this will not affect future planning. So what's the purpose of that discussion? You talk about the 60-40 ratio, even though you are talking about high density development. How many flats are we talking about? What's the sizes of those flats? In terms of public housing and the number of flats altogether, we have 7,000, about 7,000 odd PRH flats. And that's what we are talking about those sites covered by Kutong North advanced site works. What are the sizes of those flats? What's the per capita space for each resident? 14,000 flats. What about per capita space? We haven't got any information for the time being. The long-term housing strategy development would be looking at this, but I don't think the adjustment will be a significant or major difference compared with the current provision. But then I don't think the standard will not be lowered. Well, I think Mr. Leung Kok-hung has been challenging your eligibility or qualification to chair the meeting. I think you are well qualified, you are eligible to continue to chair the meeting. I hope you continue to apply the Rule 31. And that is your decision shall be final. You should not allow members to challenge you again on points that you have already made a decision. That's not healthy for the working of the committee. Thank you. I think the public will be interested to know whether we follow the rules, we respect the rules. As chairman, I don't want to have a discussion here, but I will just say that we are all reasonable people. Mr. Yim Kok-him is talking about illogical things. He's making illogical extension of the matter. I want to talk about the farm produce wholesale market. Where would it be relocated? Timetable? What about the timetable? And how are you going to select the new site? The temporary market is below the Fanling bypass. We're going to find somewhere near. It's a sort of in situ relocation. So what was the location exactly? It's just at the same location. We would make the arrangement so that the market can be operational, can do their things there. It said that there will be 170,000 new flats and 60,000 for the private sector. You want the villagers to move out in 2018, and then the soonest that we are going to have some PRH or HOS is the 2023. Usually, if you want to redevelop a public rental housing estate, you will identify the recipient housing estates first. But now you don't know what would happen. As I've replied, at this stage, we would keep the communication channels open. We would keep all options open in our discussion with them. There's no answer. They haven't made a decision. So I don't think you can press them for an answer now. They can't actually give you one. Mr. Albert Chan? Maybe I did not understand Mr. Gary Fang's point lastly. Last time it was a motion to adjourn. If that's the case, I want to move a different motion. One is to adjourn certain items, and then for the committee to adjourn, be now adjourned. The two are different. One is for the committee to be adjourned. One is for a certain item to be adjourned.
Next one, Dr. Fernando Zhang, the 9th round. Chairman, arsenic. When I read the EIA report, there is over 1 million cubic meters of the material on the site. And when the EIA report was discussed, they said the consultants' recommendations was really on how to protect the workers during the works process, but not on how to protect the people living on the land. And I'm particularly talking about Dill's Corner Garden. I think the official has been very ambiguous in his reply. So can you give us a detailed report on how you're going to deal with the material arsenic, about safeguarding the interest of Dill's Corner Garden? Well, actually, in the EIA report, we focus very much on the workers because they are very close to the contaminated soil when they're working. Now, Mr. Wong, can you supplement? Protective measures encompass a lot of measures like barriers, protective clothing, and for residents nearby, there will be appropriate measures to be undertaken. We will fence off the works area so that the contaminated soil will not be spread around. And so we will be mapping out concrete measures in due course. Can you submit the study report to us? Can you do that? Circulate the report to the members. The EIA report contains a chapter on soil contamination. Sorry, Chairman, I'm talking about the consultant's report, which focuses on how to deal with arsenic. Well, there is a dedicated chapter in the EIA report on that as well. Can you pull that chapter out and send it off to Dr. Zhang? No, I'm not talking about the EIA report. I'm talking about the entire report. And the summary of that report is included as part of the EIA report. So can you extract that particular section on the toxic material and send it to us? Thank you. Mr. Lee Chak-yan, next in the 9th round. Chairman, Ms. Chen Yin-han raised the question about importation of labor. But we didn't have an in-depth discussion on that. The reply is that they don't rule out turning to the SLS, and they would try not to do it. But then that's not the approach of the Development Bureau. Now, the Development Bureau's approach is they will look at a major project like the one undertaken by MTRCL, and then they said that they're going to import workers. And why they're doing this? Because they said that projects may come to a peak, and then they need to import workers. Now, you are talking about a completion time frame of 2018 and 2023. Will the construction work volumes peak, and then you have to import workers because of that? Have you made projections that far off? Actually, we've taken a close look on the works volume of our infrastructure and housing projects, and we are doing all sorts of calculations. There are a number of factors affecting the labor supply. So we have been treading very carefully and closely monitoring the labor situation in Hong Kong. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong, in the 9th round, the Dill's Corner Garden teaches us a lesson. The government said it is reserving a station facility there, so the station can't be relocated. And second, the government is leasing the land on short-term tenancy for a party to run an elderly center there. So because it's a STT, then, well, I have all the reason to chase you away. And also when we are dealing with arsenic, we're going to protect the workers. But then it's only saying that they will have appropriate measures to protect the elderly residents. Now, if arsenic is causing lives among the elderly, who is going to take the responsibility? Are you the one who made the reply going to take the responsibility? Well, the elderly will be affected by the arsenic. That's a toxic material. I'm not going to answer hypothetical question. Mr. Leung Kwok Ho, you've finished your question. The next one. Dr. N. Chong, first round. Chairman. We started the meeting at 3. It's about 6 p.m. I received the notification that we have to deal with some 20 papers today. But up to now, we're just on the second paper. I know that our meeting will last till 9 p.m. So can we finish all the papers tonight? Now you are the chairman, and you have to discharge your responsibility as chairman and have to ensure that the meeting is held in an orderly and fair manner. And the chairman has to deal with the agenda in a fair manner. Now, we have some 60 members attending the meeting, and you are allowing a minority of the members who can ask questions and questions for the 9th or 10th round. That's not fair to other members. Say, I may be interested in paper number 3, which is about the vocational training council, pilot training program, and support scheme, and so on. I would like to ask questions and understand more about this program, but then I've waited for 3 hours, and it's not yet my turn to ask questions. So, Chairman, I hope that you can be fair to other members. Should you be drawing a line? Now, if they do have really specific questions, then the administration can tackle them later. Now, a number of members have already left the room. They are protesting you in silence. Now, when I am speaking, and Mr. Leung Kwok Ho is shouting by my side. So, Chairman, would you please make a ruling on the behavior of Mr. Leung Kwok Ho? Ask him to leave the room, perhaps. Different members have different questions and views on the way it is being dealt, the current issue is being dealt with. I believe members of the public are also watching the proceeding of the Finance Committee. We are serving a public cause, and we try to do our best. I think we have a shared responsibility here. As a chairman, I am obliged to deal with agenda items, the scrutiny of items effectively, but I don't want to delve into this subject any longer. I've given really sufficient opportunities for those who want to raise a question. But I must stress again that, well, for some information requested, the administration can provide the requested information later. Now, we're talking about a funding application for advanced site formation and engineering infrastructure works. And the FC is now examining whether it should approve for that funding application. So I hope that members can concentrate on that aspect in raising your questions. And also we have to deal with motions under 37A, and there is also a list of other issues which have to be tackled. So please pay attention to that. Mr. Gary Fan in the 9th round. Well, for every question that I raise, I do it in a prudent way. So I wanted to follow up on the temporary farm produce wholesale market in the North District. For those affected, the number of farmers, what's the number? Who is going to be affected? How many people will be affected? And what will be the expenditure on reprovisioning for this wholesale market, and what is the percentage of this in terms of the total costs of the project? As I said before, Chairman, the market takes up a space of around 1.3 hectares. I'm asking about the number of people affected, not the area. Any information? The number of farmers and traders affected. Well, please take out the information. I'm going to ask that again, Chairman. Next one, Dr. Fernando Zhang. The 9th round, or the 10th round, rather. Is it me? All right, it should be Mr. Kenneth Leung. How many minutes do I get? 4 minutes. All right. Dr. Eun Chung said that we have 25 items on the agenda. I'm interested in discussing the 5th item, which is about the equity in Hong Kong International Theme Parks Limited. I think, Chairman, you are obliged to hold meeting according to the established rules and procedures. Now, for this project, there has been a lot of time spent on it. Are there any rules in the FC procedures if the other bureaus and departments agree? Can we really discuss these other items first? I'm sure that many directly elected members are very concerned about this Kutong North and Fanling North project. But then for some of the other agenda items are very important to our livelihood, and because of this project, all these other projects got delayed. So is this the best way of discussion? So if the FC procedure allows, and if the other members and also the administration can forge a consensus, is it possible to advance the discussion of the later items? Actually, I've been waiting for a few days to discuss items which have to do with finance and the finance sector. I'm sure that a lot of members are concerned about the discussion of this Kutong North project, but is it worth our while to delay the discussion of these other items because of this project? Is there a mechanism for us to advance the discussion of these other items? I want to pose this question to our legal advisor. I am not moving a motion here, but then if the chairman can make a ruling on this, and if no one is objecting to this approach, can we proceed it like that, Chairman? I would like to seek the views of the administration first. I'm holding the meeting according to the order of the agenda items put forward. The Secretary, can you enlighten us on this? Now, for the FC, under the FC procedure, it's up to the chairman to decide on the agenda items and the order. Now, according to our practices of FC, and the FC's role is really to scrutinize the funding applications of the government. And normally, it's the government or the administration which put forward the item and the order, and that then the chairman will make his decision. So that's the established practice. Now, Mr. Kenneth Leung raised whether it's possible to rearrange the order of certain items. I think when the chairman decides on that, he should have regard to the established practice and also the views of the administration on that. Thank you for your opinion. So the chairman does have the right to do so, but whether the chairman should exercise that right is up to his decision. Now, I think we are stuck here. And so many government departments are seeking funding from us, and there should be certain priorities. But this is an exceptional circumstance we're facing here. So if all members agree that we should agree with my approach, then we can do it, I think. Perhaps I would also like to hear the views of Dr. N. Chang on that. Thank you for your suggestion. All of us hope that the meeting can proceed smoothly, and the secretary also actually spoke on my behalf, so to speak, and we all along we've been respecting whatever agenda and the order that the government puts forward to us. Now, unless there is an opposing view from, or some other view from the government, then I would do it otherwise. That's the approach that I've been adopting so far. So perhaps I would also like to seek the administration's view on this. Secretary, do you have anything else to say? Is it right? Perhaps the administration can share with us your views on this. For the 3 sessions, the order of the items reflect the priorities within the government. So up to now, I think we should be sticking to the order of the agenda items put forward. We don't have any intention to move forward the other items before the item on NENT. All right? Well, all sides have given us their views, so we'll try to do our best in doing what we have to do. There may be different views, and I think the entire proceeding is very open and transparent. And I think, the public at least would get to know what you think about all this. So I think we should have a clear conscience. So I would like to finish with the other outstanding questions to be raised by members. Dr. N. Chang, second round. Chairman, I must stress again, you are now allowing today 3 or 4 members to raise question after question after question. Now, on average, they have raised around 10 questions. Is it a fair and effective way to host a meeting? We have some 60 members in this meeting, and we have to deal with some 20 agenda items today. Now, we are almost halfway through in terms of the timing of the meeting. So, Chairman, do you think it's the right time to draw a line now for the other panel meetings? The Chairman will allow for a 3rd, 4th, or 5th round of questions. But now you are coming to a double-digit round of questioning. Should you draw a line? If you don't want to draw a line, then if you are giving people, say, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, well, they will still say that you are being unfair or unreasonable. Now, according to the rules 30, 31, and 32 of the FC procedure, you do have the right to host the meeting in an orderly and fair manner.
So there aren't too many members who have lined up or who are lining up to ask questions, and so I don't really want to spend too much time discussing procedural matters. So Let's get the administration's replies, and if the administration can't give replies today, then replies can be given in writing after the meeting. All right, and then we can proceed to the next stage. So let's not discuss whether I should be drawing the line. All right, Mr. Fernando Jr. No, I beg your pardon, Mr. Kenneth Leung. This is my second round. How many minutes do I have? 3. Thank you, Chairman. The chairman said that we should not go on discussing procedural matters. But I want to say this to Ms. Anne Chang. Yes, I think sections 31 and sections 31 and 32 of the FC procedure are relevant. But then I and Mr. Alan Leung have commented on the issue of whether the chairman should draw the line, and the chairman has already said that has already also made a response. And I think the secretariat and the legal advisor should study this matter very carefully. I want to tell Ms. Anne Chang why the FC is different from the panels. Now, in a panel, we set aside a certain amount of time for discussing a particular item or issue. The administration attends the meeting of the panel to give members an idea of the policy to be implemented, but then that policy has yet to be implemented. After the discussion in the panel, the administration may table a bill in the council to give effect to the policy, or the administration may have to go to PWSC and FC for funding approval to implement the policy. And so the chairman of the panel can draw a line for asking questions, because the purpose of the discussion is to give members an idea of the policy to be implemented. But then in the FC, we are talking about giving funding approval, and we're talking about how money in the treasury should be spent, when the money should be spent, when a policy should be implemented. And so we're talking about very far-reaching implications. And also in the Bills Committee, my experience tells me this. In fact, I have been the chairman of 4 to 5 Bills committees, and the chairman of the Bills Committee or of a Bills Committee never tells Bills Committee members that he needs to draw a line, and so members must not propose any more CSAs or ask further questions. And so I think if the chairman is to have the power to draw the line, then this power must be specifically provided for in the FC procedure. But Chairman, I do have questions concerning Northwest MT development, but I'll ask my questions in my next round. All right, so members, please ask questions concerning the substance of the matter of the item. And if you want to seek information, I'm sure the Bureau will try its best to provide members of the information. So I understand that this is going to be the 10th round for certain members, but I'll let Ms. Anne Chang have her 3rd round. Ms. Kenneth Leung talked about amendments. We're not talking about amendments. We're not on 37A. We're talking about asking questions. We're talking about the number of rounds for members to ask questions. We're talking about how to keep or maintain order in the committee or in the Finance Committee. Mr. Kenneth Leung is of the view that whether the chairman can draw a line or not must be specifically provided for in the FC procedure. Chairman, I think we can now rely on Section 30. Subject to the ROP of the LegCo, the committee shall determine its own practice and procedure. So, if there are no specific provisions in the rules of procedure of the LegCo, then I think the Finance Committee can make a decision. Yes, I understand the point that you want to make, Ms. Chang. Now, a few members would like to ask questions for the 10th time, and I believe members will exercise their own judgment as to whether they want to go on and on. Mr. Kenneth Leung, do you wish to follow up on this matter? Please give me 1.5 minutes. I will not go into the details. Ms. N. Chang mentioned procedures, Chairman. Section 30 says the Finance Committee shall determine its own practice and procedure. But I think that's subject to the provisions in the rules of procedure and the Finance Committee procedure. And I don't think we should be doing anything that will go beyond the limits of the rules of procedure and the Finance Committee procedure. And after all, Section 30 is about this whole committee, not about the chairman. The committee shall determine its own practice and procedure. Is it that we need to have majority support in determining a certain practice or procedure? How many votes do we need? Perhaps the legal advisor can enlighten us on this. And then it is said that the chairman, after having called the attention of the committee to the conduct of a member who persists in irrelevance or tedious repetition of his own or other members' arguments in a discussion, may direct him to discontinue his speech. This is important. This is Section 32. But if irrelevance or tedious repetition doesn't occur, then the chairman has to allow members to continue. It doesn't say that a member can only speak for a maximum of 10 rounds or 20 rounds. All right. Some members want to ask questions for the 10th time. They wish to proceed to the 10th round. So if there is information that the Bureau can provide after the meeting, by all means do so. And I think we've more or less come to the end of this Q&A session. All right, Mr. Fernando Joe, the 10th round. Ms. N. Chang is new to the council, and maybe because of this, she doesn't really know our procedures too well. Please ask your question, Mr. Chair. I think if she studies the Finance Committee procedure seriously, she will know that decisions in this Finance Committee have legal effect. When we pass bills in LegCo, these bills have legal effect. And the rules of procedure do not restrict the time that members can spend on such discussions, so long as we are not saying things that are irrelevant, so long as we are not repeating ourselves, so long as we're not talking about frivolous matters. I think we have the separation of powers, and I think these arrangements are necessary for us to check the powers of the executive. Maybe if she doesn't understand these arrangements or the rationale behind these arrangements, I think perhaps the DAB can help to organize some courses for her. And Mr. Leung Kwok Hong, I think Ms. Sen Chan mentions Section 30. I think that's similar to the President exercising his powers under Section 92 of the ROP. Now, Ms. N Chang is suggesting that you should ask members to come back, and then we should, under Section 30, determine our own practice and procedure. But then, how many votes do we need? Who will move the motion? Now, how come she can suggest this when there is nothing provided for in the rules of procedure? Now, in fact, if you talk about respecting the rights of others, where are these other members? Are they gambling on horses? Are they having dinner? This is the Communist Party's logic, is it not? Don't carry out elections. Long hair will only fool you around. So some members are just wasting other people's time in making such illogical remarks. Mr. Fernando Jia, now concerning arsenic, some ACE members did ask the CEDD to carry out full ground investigation for the entire area because arsenic is found in a large part of the development area, and ACE members have said that development should not be carried out on land with a high concentration of arsenic, and it has also been proposed that the arsenic level be brought to the minimum level or a level safe to human beings. So I want to know whether you will refrain from carrying out development on sites with a high level or with a high concentration of arsenic, for example, Dale's Corner Garden. I think this question has been asked before, but I'll still invite the Undersecretary to answer the question. Yes, we do understand, Chairman, that the ACE has imposed certain requirements on us. So we will carry out ground investigation. We will try to avoid the so-called hotspots, arsenic hotspots. And if we can't avoid those, we will carry out effective remedial measures to protect the health of the residents and the workers. So will you consider avoiding these so-called hotspots? Chairman, as I have pointed out, I will try as possible to avoid these hotspots, but then if we can't do so, then we will carry out remedial measures to try to minimize the pollution. So, Mr. Chen Kin Po, the second round, the first round, Chairman, the second round, Chairman, I understand that some members are upstairs, but they are closely observing the proceedings. But then sometimes we do have serious work to do, and so sometimes we may be upstairs doing our work, but then we are still observing the proceedings. And then concerning Mr. Kenneth Leung's point, now I understand that Mr. Mayu team has given us a paper on the drawing the line. Mr. Ma is an extremely cautious person, and he has in fact said that in fact if the chairman feels that the discussion has gone on sufficiently, then he can stop the members. So you know, we've got this piece of legal advice from Mr. Ma, an extremely cautious person, a person who always chooses to err on the cautious and the safe side. So you are armed with the legal advice, and so I think you can go ahead. Mr. Leung Ko Hong, please do not interrupt others. And Chairman, now if a member is speaking and if another member interrupts that member, you shouldn't just call his name. You should warn him, give him serious verbal warnings, and after a number of verbal warnings, you should order him to leave the conference room, or else you won't be able to keep order during meetings. Now, I think we should be fair. In fact, I've heard questions which are in fact repetitions of previous questions. So we can't go on forever like this, and we have many other items awaiting our discussion and decisions. So I think we need to proceed at a reasonable pace. All right, Mr. Gary Fan, the 10th round. Albert Chan, the 9th round. Chairman, life goes on, and people make money, or they go on making money. And do you criticize people who go on making money? Do you label them in a negative manner? Now, if Ms. N. Chang feels that others have spoken for too long, give her more time to speak. Now, please, now, Chairman, when the pro-establishment members speak, you don't stop them. But when I speak, you stop me. She said there was unfairness. Chairman, you are unfair. Give her more time to speak. Now, Chairman, I move that the meeting be adjourned because the chairman has not been conducting the meeting in a fair manner. So concerning PWSC 2013-2014-13, the meeting of the Finance Committee should be adjourned. So I formally move this motion. All right, let the Secretary respond. Chairman, Mr. Albert Chan is moving a motion under Section 39 of the Finance Committee procedure, and that is this committee shall now adjourn. So each member can speak once for no more than 3 minutes. And if this motion is passed, then the meeting will be adjourned and all other items on the agenda cannot be dealt with. Mr. Albert Chan. In fact, it's very simple, Chairman. There is a lot of controversy surrounding the development of Northeast NT. We want the procedures to be fair. We want the policy to be fair. We need to protect public interest. You know, we've lost in many battles over the years. But then the town planning procedure for the Northeast NT development is not fair. There were thousands, tens of thousands of people who objected to the policy. But then we see that the town planning board is essentially controlled by the government. Yes, there are some members who know town planning issues very well and who have a passion for town planning. But then there are a considerable number of members who or have intricate ties with developers and big consortia. So some people may think that in fact the conclusion was reached in an objective and impartial manner, but in fact behind the scene, I think there is bias towards developers. For example, residential development is allowed on sites owned by Cheung Kong, and the railway station is right next to the Cheung Kong sites. So I want to say that there are many people who have conflicts of interest, conflicts of roles, and they were involved in the decision-making process. Chairman, you are involved in 3 groups or companies involved in the development. First of all, Sun Hong Kai. You became a director of Smart Tong because of the support of Sun Hong Kai. Hundreds of thousands of shares voted for you, and as a result, you became a director of Smart Tong, and you got, and in fact, you get $20,000 a month as in non-executive director, independent non-executive director of Smart Tong. You were elected, so to speak, because you are a LegCo member, and then you are also a director of the BOC Hong Kong, chairman of the BOC Hong Kong, and you are also an independent non-executive director of the MTRCL. So you have a lot of interest here, and so you shouldn't have chaired the meeting. And I think the procedures should be adjourned. The proceedings of this committee should now be adjourned. All right? Other members who would like to speak on this motion? Mr. Fernando Zhang, please.
Chairman, I speak in support of Mr. Albert Chan's motion to adjourn. Well, originally, it would not be my choice to adjourn the meeting. I would rather that the administration shelve this item and we are asked to deal with other items for the FC. But unfortunately, Chairman, as you have said, you consulted the administration. The administration is insisting that we deal with this. It's controversial. There are so many outstanding questions. We are not assured. There are so many problems and questions, and still they insist that we deal with this item first. Why is the time so limited? 3 minutes. You can continue. We pressed the wrong button. So the government is being stubborn. This is controversial. Why not shelve it for the time being? We are not trying to stand in the way, but there are really, really many questions. We are talking about a large tract of land, a lot of sites, affecting a lot of people's lives, their history, their life history. We're talking about the history of an entire village and groups of people and the relationship with the community. Why can't we devote more time to deal with it carefully? The town planning process has not yet been completed. They have just completed a round of consultation. There are more than another 10,000 or so objections. Altogether, we are having 60,000 objections. And what about those who are in favor of it? It's in single digits. And if you want to ram it through, what about separation of powers? And some members here are so ignorant, saying that we should not ask so many questions. Well, are they trying to advocate that the different powers, should cooperate? Well, we are here to safeguard public interest. If you continue to be so stubborn, it's going to be a lose-lose situation for all. Don't you think that we also care about livelihood issues? We are not interested in filibustering. All right. Next, we have Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. Chairman. This government can do anything except turning a man into a woman. If the loyalists are so concerned about this, please talk to Ms. Chair and ask them to change the order of items. We're talking about 60,000 versus single digits. But in this council, it's 43 to 27. Well, that's how corrupt the town planning process is. If you allow people the freedom to speak, the majority will come out. Most who are not here, 40 odd of them are not doing their job, and they are blaming us for asking questions. They do not show the responsibility that is rightly theirs. If you can attend a meeting upstairs, you should be an assistant. I will hire you as an assistant. Mr. Chan Kim Paul, is that the way you handle council business? Shouldn't we also install the buttons upstairs? They're watching the proceedings like a fishbowl. Chairman, it's not that we don't want to develop Northeast NT, but there must be adequate consultation. There must be an open and transparent process which a press can be accountable. It's not that we haven't opposed to the projects which is the result of wrong planning, such as West Kowloon. We were told that we'll lose a lot if we do not proceed. It's the same with the express railway project. It's the same with the link read. There was no need even to present a bill, and we are bypassed. And also the Security and Futures Bill and the Lehman Brothers incident, we were told not to get involved. So please remember that you failed to discharge your responsibility. Mr. Abraham Shek, they allow banks to sell derivatives. They asked for a blank check, and one was given to them. Mr. Kenneth Leung, well, I don't want to get bogged down with the power to draw a line. And now I thank Dr. Fernando Cheung for supporting my motion to adjourn. I've heard Mr. Chan Kim Po. Of course, everyone has read the paper. We know that Mr. Ma has given his views, but don't take Mr. Ma's view. Please don't put him on the spot. There are many lawyers, and lawyers have different views. That's why we need a debate, because views can be different, and we want to find out the truth. Of course, we have read the paper, Mr. Chan Kim Po. We have read the paper. I have to put this on the record. Of course, I know the views of the legal advisor. I beg to differ. I disagree. Yes, someone may agree with him, and I've already explained why I disagree with the advice. I'm not just saying that without just reasons. Of course, the advice is an important piece of advice, but most importantly, sorry, Mr. Leung, please concentrate on the motion to adjourn. Yes, I'm going to wrap up within 3 minutes. I'm in favor of it because of the reasons I've just advanced. I would like to adjourn this proceeding. I don't know whether if we adjourn now, are we going to have the same item next time, and then the other 23 items will be delayed or postponed, or after the adjournment we can come to some understanding with the administration, and we can change the order of the items. I hope the government will not be so stubborn. Well, we have a backlog here. Many people are so concerned about the Northeast NT project. Can we discuss the other items first? So, Chairman, if this motion is passed, I hope you would discuss with relevant government officials regarding the order of items for the committee. I would like to see that this item be set aside first so that we can pass the other items. I want to remind members that you should speak on the subject, that is the motion. And please also avoid using any terms that may be offensive when you refer to other members. Deputy Chairman, Ms. Emily Lau. Well, this is really regrettable that things have progressed to this stage. In the gallery, we have members of the public, and downstairs there are other people. They are very angry, emotional, and agitated because they think you're going to destroy their homes. As some members have said, tens of thousands of people have written to the town planning board to object, and those in support are so few in number. So why is it that the administration is unwilling to resolve the differences and to win over your supporters? And now you are just counting on the majority you can muster here. Well, I would say that even if you get past the hurdle here in this committee, it's not the end of the problems. Chairman, I hope you can give the officials a chance to respond. You represent the SAR government. You have to be accountable to this council and to the community. So why are you causing so much anguish? We have put so many questions to you. They are not fake questions. We are talking about livelihood issues of tens of thousands of people. People will lose their homes. They want to do farming, which will not be possible in the future. And there are also, and we're not just talking about the elderly homes. You should try to get a win-win solution before you come to us. The SA government is duty-bound to respond to aspirations of the community. Your proposal is not gaining a lot of support. You may be gaining some support from members here. You may be able to get this endorsed in this council. But what about community support? Why is it that so many people have raised objections with the town planning board? I hope officials here will look at this hand on heart to do something to resolve the differences. We don't want to see a backlog of items. We don't want to cause delays. But the solution should come from the administration. You have a golf course with a size of over 100 hectares. You leave it alone. You choose to disrupt residents instead. I hope we can get some answers here which are also satisfactory to the community at large. Mr. Lee Chuk-yan. Well, this paper is just about investigation. But the investigation work, site formation, would be for the development of the land, 600 odd hectares. We don't want to spend money in the wrong way. And we must have regard to the bigger picture. And so far, 70,000 people have raised objections to the town planning board. We don't know how the town planning board would decide on the matter. And that's one of the reasons why we want to adjourn the proceedings here. And that is why don't we wait until the town planning board has done its job. Second, the government has ignored public opinion. You want to demolish people's homes. For what? Well, you put up an excuse that we need more PRH flats because of the long waiting list. And when asked, of the 600 hectares, some 40 hectares will be for PRH flats. So the PRH sites have been used as a bargaining chip to argue for the development. I'm so concerned about shopping malls nowadays. The size can be so enormous. But what we know here is that a PRH would only take up 40 hectares. But Fanning Golf Course is 170 hectares. And you may say I'm repeating myself, Chairman. But the point is you should deal with the problems properly. We want to have more PRH flats, but you should not try to grab land blindly. You want to give people the impression that this is for public housing development, but you are actually helping the developers who have been hoarding land for a long time. You just want to provide or give the green light. If you want 40 hectares, you should get it from the golf course. And for the private developers, they can proceed with their own plans if they can resume land. The people downstairs are so angry. They have openly asked you, Chairman, and loyalist members who are in support of the Northeast NT project. They're asking you to explain to them, talk to them. And if you do not support the motion to adjourn, I think you have a duty to come to go down to explain to these people. Mr. Frederick Fung, if you have been following my questions have been about elderly people and their homes. Planning for people is the most important. If you only give us a framework with no details, it's really unacceptable. Regarding Dew's Corner Garden, now you have moved 700 odd people, 300 odd have yet to be rehoused. Now these 300 odd elderly residents who will be housed in different places, well, they would come back in 2023. Well, these are people in their 70s. You may have to locate them in Takulang. So one way or the other, you must find a solution to provide something in situ for the Dew's Corner Garden elderly residents. After I left university, the first matter I handled was the redevelopment of public rental housing estates. There was no in situ rehousing policy, but afterwards the policy was improved. And now we go back to the approach in the 70s. You asked them to move out in 2018. Well, you agreed in principle that they would be rehoused in situ, but they have to go out for 5 years, and you don't tell them what would happen in the 5 years. Are they going to pay rent, or will the difference in the rent be paid by you? I think problems with people are most important to me, but you seem to suggest that they are not important at all. Maybe I think we should adjourn so that the administration can take a few more steps in response to the questions I raised, and then you can come back. I think the SWD has taken one step, but not all the steps have been taken, and now we are still facing the problems that we have 300 odd elderly residents that need to be rehoused. Mr. Chan Kim Po, Mr. Longhair said we were not doing our job when we were upstairs. I would say that we attached importance to this item. We are talking about planning for 170,000. A lot of people will be benefited, and of course there will be people to be affected. We would urge the government to rehouse them. I don't want this to turn into something that would pit one class against another, or a struggle between the rich and the poor. These concerns are shared by us. Well, Mr. Kenneth Leung said that lawyers may not agree among themselves, but here we have to rely on our legal advisor, and his opinion doesn't really bring out anything new. You may represent a particular constituency. You may want the government to do a good job in rehousing, but you should not try to stir up opposition from residents. We have to be focused. Mr. Longhair is trying to filibuster. Let's be honest. We are all working for the well-being of Hong Kong. I hope they will not be trying to divide the people, the residents in particular.
So I'm absolutely against the adjournment of the proceedings. I have 3 minutes. I've got some time left. Well, in this business sector, we have been, there are a number of people who are of good integrity. So those who have a conflict of interest must declare their interest. So there should be a mechanism of declaration of interest, but then the members are not following that system, and you are just working to gain favor from your voters. If everyone acts like you, Hong Kong, well, there's no hope for Hong Kong. So I'm absolutely against adjournment of the proceedings. You shouldn't be not be allowing them to proceed with the investigation works, or else, Hong Kong's development might come to a halt. Mr. Albert Chen, well, it's not your turn yet. Next one, Miss Claudia Mo. Mr. Albert Chen. Thank you, Chairman. Well, at the lobby of the electrical complex, there are a number of NENT residents, and they come from the new territories. It's not that they have a lot of free time, and they have to travel here to here, particularly for this debate. Now, if you say that we are opposing the project because we want to gain to court voters' favor, then that's not very fair. Well, I come from Kowloon. I have nothing to do with the new territories. But I think we should stick to spirit of justice. Well, there is no equality in the world, and you can ask your mom to treat you justly because she is your mom. And then Frederick Fung said that a lot of questions go unanswered, but please give me some answers before I vote for you. But then the administration's stance seems to be that I don't need your vote. In this chamber, in this council, we have sufficient votes already. So is this fair? Is this just? All right. Long Hair is doing filibustering. Well, there are no other tactics. That's the only tactics that he can use. So you are trying to ram it down our throat. You have enough votes. And you are meeting resistance now because members do have the right to express their views here, to monitor the government, to act as checks against the government. But regrettably, there should be division of power between the executive and the legislature, and there should be checks and balance between the two. But then that's not the case in Hong Kong. We are just asking the legislature to bow to the executive. And the executive can have all the say to itself. Well, I don't blame the chairman. I think he has a tough time chairing the meeting. And it all boils down to the culture that the legislature must work according to the executive's wishes. Well, even Mr. Jester Zhang himself has to come under pressure from the administration and the executive. And you said that, well, it's just advanced work. The project is still a preliminary stage. Well, can the administration go back and, give in a bit? Mr. Alan Lang, Chairman, this is not the first time when the government is proceeding with a development project which goes against the wishes of the members of the public. I think this confrontation is unnecessary. I've also had contacts with people, including those who are now within the electrical complex. I don't think there are people who try to make a fuss. I don't think that we can simply brand their demands as unreasonable. They're just trying to spark arguments. I don't think that this is the case. But then the government has been acting strangely. I recall that when I spoke for the first time on this motion or project, I think this is an illogical, unreasonable, and unjust arrangement. Chairman, you might also recall that I said I visited a couple who had farmed there for some 40 years. And they told me that when you didn't ask for resuming the land when I first started out my farming life, but now that you are coming to resume my land, and how are you going to take care of my need to farm again? And the government said that they are providing land for agricultural rehabilitation. But then there is no way that the government can guarantee that the land can really be used for agricultural farming, because these are not government land plots. Now, for the Dill elderly at the Dill's corner garden, well, the government has made some improvement in terms of the policy, but then the needs of the elderly have not been fully catered to. So, Chairman, who are going to benefit from such development projects? And what objectives are you having in development? This is something that we have to think carefully. And it shouldn't be the case that you've got sufficient votes and you can do whatever you like. I think we should perhaps pause a bit and then discuss a little bit later. I think that's good if we do that. Perhaps the administration, your response first. Chairman, I would like to say this. Now, if this motion for adjournment is passed, does it mean that the meeting will not last till 9:45? Once the motion is endorsed, then we can end the meeting at that point. Say if everything goes smoothly, we should have been endorsing the 26 items. Now we've endorsed one item. Does it mean that the others have to be postponed altogether? So what's the consequence if the motion gets passed or otherwise? Now, a member raised that according to Rule 39, he raised a motion to adjourn the meeting. Well, adjournment for this session, right? Yes. Well, from the administration's perspective, let me try to explain the considerations in arranging for the agenda. As what the Deputy Secretary said, the order was like that for the items scheduled for the 2nd of May, and then the 6 items on the 16th, and the 6 items for the 30th, and also the other items scheduled for the meeting on June the 6th. So that basically follows that order, and we hope to have 6 hours of discussion to clear this backlog of items. and we hope still that this FC can finish the discussion on the NENT project. Well, if you look at the agenda, you know that we have other items on the agenda. In paragraph 5 of the paper, it lists the remaining works that have to be undertaken, and that will come later, a lot later. Now, a member raised the question on the arrangement of the Dale's Corner garden, and we have taken the first step, and then we need more time to take the other steps as well. With so much processes waiting to be finished, we really need to do the advanced works as soon as possible. Thank you, Secretary. Mr. Albert, your last round. I would like to thank the several members for supporting my motion, but of course the pro-establishment camp will be opposing that motion. Now, in a democratic legislature, I think the government should take heed of views not only of the pro-establishment people, legislators, but also the opposition camps. So they should really advance items which are less contentious for discussions, but that is not happening in Hong Kong. And I think we talk about executive-led, but then it's really a matter of executive domination here. Now, you think you have enough votes from the pro-establishment camp, and then you will proceed with it. And then if you can't control the pro-establishment camp, you would seek assistance from the Chinese liaison office, and then they will give you all the support you need. Well, in the old days and also now, the pro-establishment camp legislators are receiving calls every now and then from the Chinese liaison office. I think this is so undesirable here. Now, over 100 people have gathered in the complex opposing the project. Now, as for the pro-establishment camp, some members are receiving calls from the Chinese liaison office, while those of the junior ranks may not be receiving such calls. I think this is very undesirable situation here. I think the administration should really pay attention to the political climate here. And you could really adjourn or put the project on the shelf. Now, if you are willing to withdraw that project, then I would withdraw my motion of adjourning the discussion. So I would give the administration the last chance. If they are willing to withdraw this item, then I will withdraw my motion as well. I think the administration has already replied. I don't want to force them to give another answer here. Now, I would like to put the motion to a vote, adjournment of the debate. Those in favor, please raise your hands. The division bell will ring for 5 minutes.
仲有6分鐘，所以而家係足夠。
Well, we still have 6 minutes more to go before the end of this session, so we'll have sufficient time to deal with the voting. If needed, we can also extend for another 5 minutes. I've already asked the clerk about this. Well, we have to resolve this issue first.
喺呢個時候就通知一次咧，就係因為
I would like to finish the voting within the session, so I would extend the meeting for 5 minutes to 7:15, and then we'll have a break for 30 minutes before the next session starts at 7:45.
The
motion to be put to a vote is that the FC will adjourn the proceedings. The FC will now decide to adjourn the proceedings. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting results, please check your vote. Voting ends. Please display the voting results. Present 45, for 14, against 30. So this motion is not carried. So as I said, the second session ends now, and after half an hour at 7:45, we will start the third session.